Hello and welcome to the latest of my Inside Tracks. Today I'm going to explore a truly momentous astrological event, the conjunction between Jupiter and Chiron on the 11th of March at 6:53 a.m. Universal Central Time is the first for 14 years. It won't happen again for another 13 years. What's the implication of this? What can we learn from this? And how can we work with it to our advantage? If you're a returning visitor to my channel, it's great to have you with me once more. If you're new here, this is very much a community. Please share any thoughts or experiences you have. I interact with every comment. And also please like and subscribe. Now, first up, I'm going to share how I'm going to structure the video. So what is Jupiter about? It rules two signs. Who are they? And what are their individual resonances? What's Chiron about? It's not a planet. Some would say it's not even an asteroid. Let's explore that. Also, what does the sign of Aries host in them? What does that represent in terms of both Jupiter and Chiron? Also, what does the event chart tell us? What other interactive energies are going to be applying their vibe to this duo when this event exactly occurs? And then I'm going to give you a snippet of each of the 12 zodiac signs of what we can expect or what we can work with this event. So Jupiter and Chiron last came together in 2009 in the sign of Aquarius. They next come together in the sign of Gemini in 2036. So a really rare event. Now the orb between them at the current time as I record this is 3 degrees. So up until the 25th of March they are within 3 degrees. And therefore their influence can definitely be felt. It's just that on March the 11th at 6:53 a.m. it reaches a higher frequency, a higher potency. That's going to be the hot point. Now Jupiter's energy, I feel, is recognized most generally through its rulership of Sagittarius, being happy-go-lucky, being expansive, being adventurous, independent loving, an embrace of travel, overseas culture. Can very much be to do with international affairs as well, borders, interestingly, in terms of the hostilities that are going on internationally in the world. But also, in terms of its rulership of Sagittarius, we could say it's the law or higher beliefs. So it's where we're thinking in a more philosophical way. Now, Pisces, which is traditionally ruled by Jupiter, is a much more culminative energy because it's all the experiences of the 11 previous zodiac signs, and therefore you could say that Jupiter represents wisdom through its rulership of Pisces. But it can also be to do with spirituality of all kinds and beliefs, but also I feel very much to do with sanctuary in a way, where we may actually withdraw somewhat to work out what we really feel about certain situations. But it can also be to do with benevolence, where we may be generous to those who are perhaps less fortunate than ourselves. So the blend of these energies is going to be working through the host of the sign of Aries. And Jupiter in Aries, obviously Aries is a fire sign, so it's to do with thrust, initiation, potentially new beginnings, or reinvigorating ongoing strands. Can be to a degree about risk, because Aries doesn't tend to think about things too much, as more as get a gut feeling and go with it, which is really, really exciting. But what about Chiron? Well, Chiron, some people would say, is a minor planet or even an asteroid. But really, Chiron came on to the scene very much known as a comet. And it's said to be the wounded healer. So this is the part of our lives where we can actually be very skilled at helping other people. But actually this can be the point where we really suffer the most. So for example, if someone has got Chiron in the 4th house, they could be hugely caring and supportive around emotional needs to others, but they may not get much support through their family. If you have Chiron in the 7th house, you may be great as a marriage or partnership advisor, but that perfect relationship always seems to be a little bit elusive. Now, in the sign of Aries, the challenge with Chiron is our personal identity, because this is the first sign of the zodiac. So in terms of the symbolism of the passage of the sun through the 12 signs, it's where we're setting out. So we're newbies, we don't quite know who we are. So if you have Chiron in Aries or the 1st house, identity or a sure sense of yours could have been something that has been your life pattern. But then again, you could be a wonderful life coach and someone who's really brilliant at encouraging people to march to the sound of their own drum. So this combination in Aries is asking us all to think about where we're standing in terms of the whole concept of our self-worth, our identity, how we're working with potentially our attitude towards healing. So healing takes many forms. Obviously, we can have healing that comes through medicines, and sometimes medicines, modern medicines, are and can be really critical to people coming through. But also, of course, there's traditional medicine, there's herbal, Chinese, acupuncture, there's touch, there's massage. All these are very much part of healing. And in the sign of Aries, I think what we're being asked to do with this combination is really have a little bit of a self-analysis of where we are in terms of our journey around health. Now, that health can be physical, but it also can be psychological. And because the event chart, which I'm sharing on the screen now, shows the midpoint between the sun and the moon, so therefore the overarching energies between the more receptive vibe of the moon and the more assertive and go-getting energy of the sun, when this event occurs exactly, is in the traditional sign of Capricorn, which is very much about how things have been over a long period of time. And I think that there has been an obsession with materialism. That's just my personal view. And what we're all being asked to do is rebalance this. There's nothing wrong with money, nothing wrong with success, nothing wrong with having nice things. But if that becomes the primary focus, the inner world inside of us is running on empty. So I feel that this is a glorious opportunity to reboot our approach to our health. So if you're someone who's been very resistant, for example, to trying out anything other than what's seen as chemical medicines, because you think it's all a bit airy fairy, these people say these things, but it's all a bit of a scam, I would really revisit your belief systems, which of course is what Jupiter is about, because that could be holding you back from approaching your health or your inner world in a more dynamic and positive way. If you're someone who's always been into more alternative or complementary medicines, it's also important to make sure that the physical world is working properly. So that means getting enough exercise. It's not all about contemplation and meditation. We do need some action, and that's what Jupiter and Chiron together are pushing us all to be a bit more active. We all live in such a sedentary way these days. So that square between the sun and the moon, that midpoint on this event, just could see us resisting the opportunity, because we'd rather stay on the course that we've been on, which is just aiming for a more and more perfect material world. But that could mean that our inner world is being starved of the attention, affection and nurture that's very important. So that means a new beginning for us all. So I'm just going to go through each of the 12 zodiac signs to give you a snippet of what you can expect. So Aries, for you, of course, if you have had issues with your personal identity, if you have got Chiron in Aries too, then that may have been a theme that's worked its way through your life. So this is a great opportunity to think about what's so special about you and what's so dynamic. But if you're someone who has got some Pisces energy in your chart and you've been a little bit more passive or supportive of others, this is your chance to seize the moment, to really be much more dynamic and live in the moment. Now, Taurus, for you, this event could be much more about your psychological health. If you're someone who's tended to poo-poo all that kind of stuff, this is your chance to embrace it, knowing that we are all a holistic being, whether it's physical, emotional, psychological, or spiritual. We get it all together, then that can be very healing. So that's the opportunity for you on this event. Now, Gemini, for you, this is occurring in your sector of friendship and alliances. If you find that any community interactions are a bit of a stress or a strain, you're not someone who finds it easy necessarily to join in, this is your chance to work on that. If you're someone who's naturally sociable, and many Geminis are, this is asking you to think more about your future forwards. Where is your long-term direction? And is it being guided by a higher principle? If it is, you're on track. If it's not, rethink. Cancer, for you, if you are quite bound up in wanting to make progress in terms of the property, the job, the car, this is a challenge to you in particular because it's in house 10. But also if you're doing work that leaves you a little bit empty, you're now being asked to rethink where you can pitch your unique talents of leadership, nurture, but protectiveness and sometimes defensiveness, where you can pitch that in a way that's more healing and enjoyable for you. Now, Leo, this occurs in your sector of travel, expansion and adventure, but you're a fixed sign. So although you are governed by the sun and often seen as one of the most charismatic, if not the most charismatic member of the Zodiac, you often find it a little bit difficult to break out and do things on your own terms because you usually want to work in an alliance with another person who can be supportive to you. So this is encouraging you to think about how you can be more independent, and that may mean getting out of your normal routines, which may be rather regulated, and being more spontaneous. Virgo, for you, the 8th house is very much about intimacy, but it can be about long-term finance. But if you struggle because you're not quite getting the closeness you want, are you demanding too much of things to be just so? So that natural desire for things to be perfect could be inhibiting you from really investing in a situation that can be much more gratifying and fulfilling. But also, if you're someone who's a bit intuitive in terms of taking a more entrepreneurial path in life, this could be saying to you, are there ways that you could use your resources in a more dynamic fashion? Libra, for you, of course, this event occurs in your 7th house, but this is usually your great skill set, supporting others. So for you, Chiron and Jupiter are saying it's that continuing story of setting your boundaries, continuing to be you, but being much fussier about who you give that support to. If you go along the path of continuing to value yourself that much more, eventually the right relationship is going to develop for you. Scorpio, for you, this is occurring in house 6. If you are someone who's very much caught up with analysing things and perhaps your wariness or even suspicion about people, perhaps this is affecting your physical vitality. Try to understand that your thoughts do affect your physicality and your health, and you're being asked to perhaps, if you're someone who's very, very athletic, to perhaps think about how you can look at your diet to get some marginal gains in terms of your well-being. If you're someone who's very good at nutrition but really are quite happy being in a more sedentary life, you're being asked to be more active. Now, Sagittarius, for you, this is very much about glamour, about creativity and about passion, and it can be about children. So if you want to bring some energy into your world that is more spontaneous and risk-taking, this is a great time to go for it, because of course Jupiter is your ruler. But it does mean being out there a little bit more and being comfortable with being a little bit more in public view. And because Saturn has moved into your 4th house and Neptune has been there since 2012, you may have retreated in subtle ways that haven't necessarily been very obvious. So this is a chance to push out, take some risks. It really will be exhilarating. For you, Capricorn, because you're very much welded to being very thorough, diligent, hardworking, and sustained in your approach, are you starving yourself of the right to look at your vulnerabilities? If you're someone who has to always maintain that facade of being very capable and very making sure everything works in a very practical way, is this masking some fears and anxieties? If it is, embrace that inner child that feels wounded or tired or hurt. It's going to be very healing for you. Now, Aquarius, you're an air sign, so the 3rd house is very much about communication. It's very Gemini energy, and of course Jupiter is very much about growth. So I think this is a great opportunity to engage with people about the ideas and idealism that you're very passionate about. And don't worry if not everybody agrees with you, just go for it. Now, Pisces, of course, Jupiter is your ruler, and this combination is a great time to work on your self-worth. The 2nd house, very much about that. If your self-worth is not in great shape, this is a time to really do everything you can to honour the qualities you have. Don't at any time catch yourself putting yourself down. That self analysis that you may be doing and applying a break to the ways you can go forwards is something you can challenge with this event. Now, if you would like to go beyond horoscope astrology and understand a lot more about the deeper parts of your nature, if you give me 3 pieces of your personal birth data of time, date and place of birth, I can produce your life roadmap report, which can give you so much greater understanding of the patterns which have played out in your life so far, and also a more intimate way of knowing when to make moves and when to hold off. Also, within my special package of 30% off, you will get your 12-month personal forecast. This can give you searing insights of the months ahead. But if you don't know your time of birth, I can produce for you in my new package, my solar reports, both a character analysis and a forecast, just not using the ascendant and using a whole sign astrology approach. And that, especially if you watch a lot of YouTube videos, can be very, very helpful to you if you don't know your time. And again, there's 30% off if you buy them together. Please see the link below for both. Thank you so much for joining me. Please comment, like or subscribe. Take care and goodbye.